Hey guys, welcome to the Unit 5 Mastery Assessment CER assignment. I'm going to be going through and breaking down the process on Edpuzzle before you go and kind of put all of your thoughts together into a more formal written assignment, which will be in a Google form. But Miss Frisbee and I talked, and we thought that because y'all have been doing so well with the Edpuzzles, and because this type of assignment is something that we feel like we would usually in a classroom be really spending a lot of time being detailed and breaking it down for you, we wanted to do the same thing, and an Edpuzzle assignment made the most sense. So here we go. So remember what a CER is. It is a claim and evidence reasoning writing assignment. And I said this in the introduction, but the good news is that you've already done something very much like this. Remember this week 2 assignment where you guys did the mini polymer CER? That's essentially what we're going to be doing today, but kind of in a bigger, kind of more imaginative way and more formal way. So if you have ever ridden a bike, if you've ever gone rollerblading, if you've ever been on a scooter, if you've ever been on a motorcycle, I very much hope that you used a helmet. So a helmet, if you've ever paid attention, is made up of some kind of distinct parts. So starting on the outside, you have this hard outer shell. And a lot of people would think that this is the part that maybe is protecting you the most, but it's almost like this it's that first barrier. Inside of that then is something that is an energy absorbing layer. So that is it's the thickest part. And it usually might be on my bike helmet is like a styrofoam. And then on the inside, to make this comfortable, you want to have something that is going to provide some cushion, okay? So thinking about that, uh, the assignment states this background. So you have been chosen as the lead on a project to create a helmet design to present to the CEO of the company that you work for. Your job is to design the outer shell, the energy absorbing liner, and the comfort liner of the helmet using materials that are functional, so meet the needs that they need to, they're cost effective, and are environmentally effective. So first thing is we need to remember what properties are. So this came straight up from the reading that we did in week 2 as well, that reading assignment. Properties are materials that are useful for a particular purpose because they behave in a certain way under certain conditions. They have particular qualities, which we call their properties. Understanding these properties is what material science is all about. So first thing I need you to think about is what are the desired properties for each of the parts of the helmet? What does the outer shell need to do? What does the energy absorbing liner need to do? And what does the comfort layer need to do? Next, you're going to think about what polymer matches the desired properties for these different parts of the helmet. So if you stop and take a look at the 4 different polymer options, we've been working with these throughout this unit. You have linear, branch, crosslink, and interchain bonding. Look really closely, look at the properties of those polymers and which one of those polymers matches with the desired properties for each the outer shell, the energy absorbing liner, and the comfort liner. Okay, you may use the same type of polymer for multiple things. You don't have to have one of each, but it should become pretty clear based on the desired properties that you just described for the outer shell, for the energy absorbing liner, and for the comfort liner, which polymers best meet those needs. So you're going to choose that now. All right, so what we should have done is we should have our desired properties for each of those layers and a polymer that is chosen. All right, that's the first big step for the CER, and it is coming to a decision about which polymer you think is best based on the properties that it needs to have. Now, that's not the only thing that we want you to think about because in the material science world, there are some wonderful, perfect polymers that are out there for certain things, but They may not be very cost effective. They may not be environmentally effective. You may not be able to find them, or they may be limited in how available they are. So let's think about the cost. So ultimately, we do want to keep costs down, but understanding that, if you chose a polymer that's kind of the only choice that makes sense, that's a polymer that you're going to have to use. So first thing I would like you to do is please just go and whatever polymer you chose for the outer shell, look at the chart on the right and record the cost per pound of the polymer that you chose. Doing the same thing for the energy absorbing liner and for the comfort liner. So if you chose for the outer shell, if you chose that it should be linear, you would then, its cost per pound is in the column over here to the right, and you'll need to record that. So now, go and think, does the cost per pound of the polymer change the type of polymer that you want to use for any parts of the helmet? Are you sitting here and going, holy cow, my helmet is going to cost way too much money because I used a lot of interchain bonding and that's way too expensive? So does the price of the polymer affect the decision that you made about each of these types of polymers and the choice that you had originally? So would you change your mind based on the costs? So monetary cost is not the only thing that a designer has to think about. We have to think about the environmental cost. What are the environmental effects from the production of this helmet? So in the chart to the right, again, similar setup as before, we see the 4 types of polymers and then some descriptions about the environmental effectiveness. So linear polymers have a certain effect. Branch polymers have an environmental impact, cross-linked, etc. So take a look at that chart. So one of the things that material scientists might do is they might give a ranking or a rating of like which of how effective or how how good this is, how environmentally good this a certain material is. So what I'd like you to do is for your polymer choice that you had for the outer shell, for your polymer choice that you had for the energy absorbing and for the comfort liner, is give a ranking from least effective to most effective. Least is 1, so that's the one that is bad for the environment, is causes too much harm. And then 4 being the one that you think is the best. So looking at your options again, did you have polymer choices that were 4 and that were really high, like they were not very good? Or did you have polymer choices that were decent for the environment and weren't going to cause any issues environmentally? Now, as you think about this, does the environmental cost of the polymer change the type of polymer that you are going to use? So again, just like we did with the monetary cost, so the dollar amount, are you changing, or is there anything that you will, or is there any polymer that you'll change because of the environmental cost that it has? So now let's bring all of this together. So as I told you, we had to think about not only having a polymer having the specific properties that we wanted, we also need to take into account the cost of using certain polymers and the environmental impact of using certain polymers. So thinking about all of those things, what polymer are you ultimately going to choose for the outer shell and why, the energy absorbing liner and why, and the comfort liner and why? If you are going to go with your initial choices, that's fine. You just need to make sure that you back it up with why it is important to choose that polymer, even if it is expensive or has negative impacts to the environment. If you want to change which polymer you're choosing, that's also totally fine. You're just going to explain why that changing it is more important than the one that you originally chose. Okay, and that pretty much wraps it up for this CER. Now, again, this kind of thought process, and you're coming to this final decision of which 3 polymers you're going to choose, That is what is going to need to carry over to the Google form that you're going to be doing next. So you should have spent some time really thinking about the polymers that you want to use for those three parts and why those polymers are the best choices. Um, with this kind of step-by-step work that you just did, you have all the pieces to now go and complete the CER. I believe in you. You can do this. Feel free to go back and rewatch these sections. Feel free to go back and look at those charts longer. I believe in you. Good luck. Talk to you soon.